Welcome to the Cincy Postcast. I'm Kevin Wallace, and before we get into today's episode, I want to tell you about our friends over at Streetside Brewery. Oh, one of my favorite Cincinnati brewery. They are awesome. I can tell you, just this past weekend, watched the FC Cincinnati match, drinking an English mild beer. It felt appropriate watching soccer. Great stuff. Just great stuff from Streetside there. Check them out at 4003 Eastern Avenue over on the east side of Cincinnati. And hey, this weekend, September 28th, it is Streetside's 8th anniversary. Now, I understand this is an FC Cincinnati match day. However, before the game, they will have a good party going. And you've heard them on this podcast. If you've heard this podcast, you've heard them before. Absolutely love them. Jim Trace and the Makers will be playing from 3 to 6 p.m. on Saturday. Go out there, support JTM, support Streetside before the match, and then head on over to your pregame bar of choice. But definitely check out Streetside this weekend. You can also watch plenty of Premier League action early in the morning, and they have Bengals watch parties there as well. Really great time. Absolutely love Streetside. Hey, while you are there, mention the Cincy Postcast. Mention us. Tell them we sent you, and they will knock $1 off of your beer on your tab. Really great people. So huge thank you to Streetside for supporting this episode and many others. And thank you, listener, for going to Streetside and supporting them. And on today's episode, we are talking about the 2-2 draw to Nashville. How should we feel coming out of that match? Was it a good draw? Was it a bad draw? Is this something that we can take some positives from for the team? I'll be honest, I don't know how to feel about this one. I needed this episode to sort of suss out my feelings on this match and where we're looking at for the 4 remaining matches on the season. We wrap it up with some great questions from the Patreon, some really good ones, an FC Cincinnati date, and some oddball named Kevin asks about Nick Marcanic. I think you will have a really good time on a very fun episode of the Postcast. Joining me to talk about all of that and more, I'm joined by 2 gentlemen here who just cannot wait to relive a 2-2 draw versus Nashville. Joined by the Chief, joined by Grayson. Grayson, let me ask you this. Chief and I were at Streetside for this game. Where did you watch this game?
I watched it from Streetside.
What?
Which means that if you would have shown up to Streetside last night for the match, you would have been treated to a special live episode of the Postcast that we were doing for just the 3 of us.
Yeah. It was a private session for Mrs. Chief, which might be nightmare material for Mrs. Chief. I don't know. But
yeah, no, it's. I suspect that. I suspect that was not how she was planning her Saturday night to go.
Oh,
what do we do?
God.
We used up all our great takes just sitting around drinking and watching this game. Do we have anything left to do? Can we just call it an episode and move on?
Yeah, I think we're good.
Yeah, if you missed it, that's on you.
Yeah, look, if you're not at Streetside every away game, I don't know what to tell you, but 1, you're missing out, and 2, you really missed out. So,
or your experience was way better because you didn't have to deal with us.
But your mileage may vary here. No, you could hang out on the patio where there was some really great live music Saturday evening. So look, you missed your chance. Boy, this is a funny one because I don't know how you guys are feeling the day after, but I think I'm feeling generally positive about the draw, which is probably not how I should feel, but I am feeling generally positive about the draw. How should I feel?
I guess you can feel positive. I mean, I don't feel anything about it, to be honest. That's the problem. Look, Nashville's
too long, huh?
Well, Nashville's they're a bad team.
Yeah.
They've only won 8 games. They're sitting in 12th place on the table with a negative 15 goal differential on the year. Like they're not a good team. And so I don't know how to feel about it. Like in the abstract, there were parts of this that went well. There were parts of this that went poor. But, Nashville sucks. I understand that, like, they got a new manager. They've got, BJ Callahan, and I'm sure he has some stupid football coach type saying, like, hold the line, row the boat, hold the rope.
Team.
Team. The man looks like a linebackers coach from, like, a shitty FCS school. And so I get that they're a different Nashville SC team than you've seen, but they suck. And for long stretches of this game, it looked like FC Cincinnati was playing a lower division opponent with the amount of sustained pressure and sustained possession. So under all those circumstances, you would like to have won this game, but I guess at least you didn't lose it.
That's true. Chief, they are a bad team. I'll also point out they are 4 points out of avoiding the play-in game as a playoff team. So very MLS situation there. I don't know, Grayson, how should I feel about this?
It's a bad draw.
Yeah.
But, it doesn't really matter all that much. You come out of it still in second place. They come out of it having clinched a top 3 seed in the Eastern Conference playoffs. Teams like Nashville, late in the year are playing for their life. And the FC is still, still just trying to get like settled, right?
Yeah.
You just want to be like in a good spot going into the playoffs. And they once again had to use a different lineup than they used the game before. And I guess the one good takeaway is, the previous game was Lucho playing, a full game, right?
Yeah.
This game, Lucho played a full game and, did some stuff.
Did some Lucho stuff.
Right? Did some Lucho stuff. And so, like, you feel good about that part of it. You feel good that Lucho was doing Lucho stuff. But otherwise, like, yeah, I don't even know if we should get into it because by and large, like play-by-play of the game doesn't matter all that much. They gave up 2 easy goals.
Yeah.
Which is kind of a through line of the season is giving up easy goals.
Mm-hmm.
And they scored a couple of spectacular goals.
Which
and
is
you would
also,
wonder,
also a through line of the season.
Right.
Where
Right.
there have been a real dearth of tap-in goals or easy goals for the FC this year. It's been a lot of hard work.
And I would like to see a team have to generate magic to score on us. And I would like to see some, easy goals.
Yeah.
Like a cross to a free man in the box that he just heads home cleanly or, whatever. Like
Yeah.
the kinds of goals that we've given up against teams like Philly and Red Bull and Nashville and New England, all year. But like Chief said, it was a dominant performance.
Yeah.
Right. And yet, even a bad team, if you invite them to, will score an easy goal.
Yeah. Just to channel my inner KLR, if you take away the goals, You'd have thought SEC would have won this thing 7-1. Like this was a thorough demolishing via stats. And then you pull back.
And the eyeball test, too.
Yes.
I mean,
yes.
In the second half of this game, there were stretches of play that went onwards of 8-9 minutes where Nashville couldn't clear the ball out of their own half.
Yeah.
And it was just recycling possession. It was one of those where if you were watching the Premier League, the commentator would say the goal feels inevitable at this point.
Yeah, right. You know, it's funny. I'm now actually looking at the stats. And of course, FC Cincinnati dominates all of them, with the exception of one that is maybe noteworthy here. XG on target. They got us pretty good on that one. A solid point over us. So maybe something to keep in mind going forward. We can generate a lot of shots, but yeah, I don't know. This is a funny one here because, as you said, we clinched top 3, and unless this team is going to win the Supporters Shield, which I think is mathematically possible, and so long as Miami keeps drawing, the door is open. A win here certainly would have changed some of the conversation around this, but once you're sort of settled into spots 2 and 3, it's really all we're playing for is
who hosts Columbus in the Eastern Conference semifinal.
Should both of these teams advance out of that first round? Who hosts? And last year there was only one upset in the entire first round. That was, of course, St. Louis. So you'd bank on 2 and 3 getting through a best of 3. So yeah, that's kind of the only thing we're keeping an eye on.
I'm not going to that game if they host. I just want to put that out there right now. There's like a less than 0 chance if Columbus hosts that theoretical playoff game. But also less than 0.
But also, it's like, okay, so it's the difference between 2 and 3 is who hosts between us and Columbus in that Eastern Conference semifinal. If assuming we both advance, you would think, like, ordinarily you'd be like, oh yeah, I want to host that game.
Right.
But like, do you want to host that game? We beat them at their place this year. They tied us at our place. They beat us at our place last year. Let's go beat them at their place this year.
Narrative wise, results this year wise. Yeah, going to Columbus might make more sense here. We're a better team on the road than at home. I don't know if that's actually true, but it feels true.
Yeah, it's definitely true. It's absolutely true.
There you go.
And then going up to their place, there's less pressure.
Yeah, fewer people too. So
if we lose that game, it's like, yeah, I mean, we had a rough year.
Yeah,
we had a rough year. They stayed healthy. We lost a lot of really important players.
We lost an important player.
Well, we lost Lucho for a big chunk of the season.
Right. He'll be around, though, for the playoffs, hopefully. Knock on wood here.
Right, but mentally. We lost Bupenza. We lost our DP striker for the year.
Damn.
And then got a DP striker, so it's all a wash.
How dare you?
Top line takeaways from this game.
Yeah.
I guess we can get like existential at the end of this. Boy, Pavel Buka seems pretty important sometimes.
Look, we'll find out soon. Hopefully. Exact reason. Plenty of rumors out there and a lot of speculation, but we'll leave that to the internet for this one. But no, I assume we'll have something official here. But man, what kills me is he was like the one guy who started every single game, was always reliable, which is always good. But you see immediately the hole in midfield depth when he's out, that Kubo can't be a striker. He has to come back, fill in. Then you've got Joaquini or Santos, or both in this case, up top. And man, it just...
Well, I mean, what this does do is it's can add another position to Yuya Kubo this year because he's played attacking mid, defensive mid, now box to box mid. He's played the 8 now, both wings and striker. So there are 11 positions on a soccer pitch. He's played 5 of them now at this point.
Wow.
Half the outfield positions available. he's played. But yeah, the first thought I had watching this is I've been thinking about this for a while. Maybe the move they needed to make, if once they missed on getting a true top flight striker like they were targeting, maybe the move was looking for the Joe Aquini of the midfield and just getting someone who could spell Pavel at the 8 or maybe spell Obi at the destroyer, the defensive mid role. Because as it stands right now, there is no depth in that position, especially if Kubo is your starting striker. There's nobody, because they clearly, for one reason or another, don't want to play Malik Pinto or give Pinto minutes.
There's a million reasons why it maybe wouldn't have worked, but I would really wonder. I really like to know the answer to whether they kick the tires on like a junior Aquini.
Yeah.
Because Junior Moreno fills a huge hole on this team right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we've talked about it, and he's obviously not here, but I would just like to know, what was there? Were there ever talks? Were there ever considerations? Why? I guess I don't even need to know why didn't it work out?
Well,
just like to know if they did.
So here's the frustrating thing, right? Joe Aquini's a DP for all intents and purposes for the designation, right? But if he's not here, one, I don't think anybody says the striker room is bare, and two, you can't say money was the reason why you didn't sign Junior Moreno, because you had an unlimited money position.
Because you could have tagged him with a DP slot.
Yeah.
And given him the biggest glow up in his contractual history with MLS.
Fine. For 1 year or for half a season. Yeah.
Yeah. It just sucks. It sucks to me that you get a lineup together that really did look like, okay, let's roll with this. And then not even a week goes by and you've got to make major changes to the lineup, especially at the part of the season, the part of the lineup that you've been struggling for an answer for with your striker position. And then not a week later, not even 4 days later, 3 days later, after an incredibly productive evening from the strikers, you go from Kelsey and Kubo to Santos and Giacchini, and the drop off was noticeable.
Right. I mean, it's just interesting that it's interesting the move that was made, because the striker room didn't need another rotational guy.
Yeah.
Really. Right. They have okay strikers. They have plenty of them, plenty of guys who are that guy plays in MLS.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They didn't need another guy who's that's an MLS rotational striker.
Right.
They needed, to make a difference in the striker room, they needed a difference making top quality striker.
Right.
And they didn't get it. That's fine. There's reasons they didn't get it. That's all understandable. They did not need a world-class midfielder.
No.
That wasn't the biggest value add to the team. If one walks into your lineup, by all means, let's do it. But this team could have been improved with just an MLS rotational central midfielder.
Hell, I'd have taken a starter off a Supporter Shield winning team.
Yeah. If only that was available.
So it's just interesting the choice that was made. But
why won't this team play Malik Pinto? What's up with that? He played last year and he wasn't great, but he also wasn't terrible.
He was fine.
He was good against Nashville last year.
Yeah.
In Nashville, he had a very nice technical foul against Hani. And he had that one play where he chased down Hani and made a really nice tackle to win the ball back and kill a Nashville break, and was just otherwise kind of clean and like not spectacular, not fancy, but like not hurting the team at all.
And wouldn't this have been like the best game to play him too? Like, okay, like we're talking about right here that if we're being honest, Supporters Shield is probably not in the cards for this team. It wasn't in the cards for this team, even with Miami dropping points.
It wasn't in the cards of the team a month ago.
Right.
Like you dropped back-to-back games against Chicago, Charlotte, and Red Bulls.
And it was the dream was dead then.
It was over.
It really ended losing to Miami and Miami. Had you beat them there, it's a very different conversation. But yeah.
So
I don't know if it is.
So you're locked in with a point. You're locked into a top 3 finish. You're probably going to end up at 3 because Columbus is hotter than a firecracker, and they've got a game in hand on us right now, well tied on points. So
we have 5 games left and don't know who the good players are.
Yeah, but like, wouldn't this be your
4
challenge?
Games.
Your challenge for midfield depth. Wouldn't this be a game to throw Malik out there and just be like, okay? And it accomplishes 2 things. Number 1, you see how he's improved or what he's done. And number 2, it allows you to keep the striker pairing up top and allow that to develop more chemistry with Luka and with Yedlin and with Lucho. I have a strange feeling that Pat or Chris or somebody on the technical staff, that they are hell-bent on making Joe Aquini work for whatever reason. I don't know what that is, but it feels like that whenever Joe Aquini is healthy, they want Joe Aquini playing. And I just don't see it. I don't see it. I know he had a goal taken away that was kind of bullshit, but he's very serviceable, but he doesn't appear special in any way to me. Like it looks a lot like Corey Baird.
He seems like a nice teammate.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I appreciate he's playing with the Batman mask and he's playing through a little bit of injury.
Well, he puts in work, and you see him like talking to his teammates, trying to get people up, trying to communicate, trying to, give people praise, for trying to make plays. And like, he seems like a really nice guy, right? Like a really good locker room guy. And you like to have those in the locker room. I hope we look really stupid. But I don't want to see him starting anymore.
No.
I think the only reason I think that
it's entirely possible. I hope we look really stupid. We are stupid. We are stupid, and we do look stupid.
Right.
But I hope that we look wrong, I guess. Yes. Like, I hope that we're wrong. Like, I hope that 3 weeks from now, we're saying he's undroppable.
Yeah. I just
don't see it. And I think that whatever you got to do to make Kelsey and Kubo your strikers, fill out the rest of the team with that in mind. If that means playing Corey Baird as the 8, then so be it.
Yeah, I would love to know what the situation is with Pinto. That one feels especially weird to me, that they just won't give him minutes, even in a match like this, where they outpossess Nashville like almost 70-30. I have a hard time believing that Malik Pinto being on the field would have demonstrably changed the possession rate. I do think Yuya Kubo and Kevin Kelsey on the field would have potentially produced more goals given how heavy the possession was. This game was screaming out for Kevin Kelsey and Yuya Kubo, given how the runs were being made, how the possession was being held. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. What makes it even funnier is we didn't use all of our subs. So like Pinto easily could have subbed into the game if we really wanted to.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Right.
It's very weird.
Why leave subs on the table?
Keller doesn't get in. Again, not saying he needs to.
I don't think Keller should have gone in.
No, but if you're looking at this as we need to rotate guys, save some legs, Cheeto seemed like he was begging the referee for a second yellow. And again, you leave a sub on the table. You could have pulled him back for the last 5 minutes or something like that. I don't know. It's just interesting decision.
Have we listed what the lineup was for this game? We
sure haven't. Let's do that. Okay. So it was a little bit of an unusual lineup. So in goal, Roman Celentano. Left or right along the back line, it was Ian Murphy. Miles Robinson back in the center. Cheeto Awaziam as your right center back. It was Yamil Assad as your left wing back, and Luca Orishano as your right wing back. Wabodo and Kubo as the two deep-lying midfielders with Lucho Acosta ahead of them. And up top, your starting strikers, Sergio Santos and Nico Gioacchini.
I don't know.
The problem with Gioacchini is he's very similar to Santos, which is also probably why they shouldn't be starting together. But he is always in the right spot, but it just never comes off. Like, he had a couple of great opportunities that he missed. He had a couple of passes that he flubbed, but he is in the right spot and he is making the run, and generally making the run. He's generally doing the right things, but it's just not coming off. And maybe that is what Pat and company are seeing and thinking that they can work through. But at this point of the season, the lack of execution means you got to sit.
It's kind of like the failure of analytics in soccer, where it's like, oh yeah, somebody gets in the right spots and makes the right runs, and blah, 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 blah. At some point, you have to like play the ball with your foot.
And if you're not good at that,
to be fair, we're probably having a different conversation if he scores. I mean, you guys are probably having a different conversation if he scores that goal. I'm solidified in my take on this.
Well, look, I mean,
if that goal counts,
he did score the goal.
Right. And it looks very good. And again, another failure of the analytics. You don't see the number of incredibly close. Let's even give more credit than we should. Coin flip VAR decisions should have been a goal. How many guys have 5 goals taken off of their tally sheet at the end of the year from a coin flip VAR call that they look like world class if they go the other way?
The difference is, like with Brenner, who had a lot of goals and assists taken away, you saw the quality.
You passed the eye test. Yeah. Nico doesn't do that.
not yet.
Not yet. No.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe the hope is here, and it feels very clear to me that the coaching staff wants him to be the starting striker. I think the only reason he missed on the Wednesday game was that he was just not available coming back from a broken nose. I think if he was available, I think he's playing that game. I think it's Gioacchini and Kelsey starting up top.
So I would like to think of Nico as a young player.
Well, he is.
He's 24.
That's young-ish.
He's the same age as Orishano.
I think of Orishano as young.
Okay. By Nico's age, Kubo had like multiple really productive seasons in Switzerland and Belgium.
Yeah.
And was about to get a move to the Bundesliga, which like didn't go great, but he played a lot, in the Bundesliga when he at least, was there. Nico has struggled for playing time everywhere he's been, including like in the French second division, except for like a stretch in St. Louis at a time when St. Louis was involved in a historic level of overperformance.
Yeah.
It's, it's we'll see.
Yeah, it's early for him. He's only been with this team for about less than a month now. It's the problem is he doesn't have this team doesn't have the luxury of waiting for him to figure it out. And they've got to have some.
Right. It's not March.
No. And this is the time where things need to be coming together.
It's almost October.
Here's the other thing.
With less than a month to decision day.
They don't have an incentive for him to get better.
Well, him scoring goals for the team.
Yeah, winning would be a great incentive.
But like, I don't know. Let's say it does take him all the way up until the conference finals for him to put it together. Do you really trust him if it took up to that point to start in the final? No.
I mean, you shouldn't have trusted him to that point.
Right.
Is the problem. Like that's the problem.
Right. But then he's not under contract. You have no obligation to purchase. Like,
you have no option to purchase, as far as I can tell.
That seems to be the reporting. Maybe that's different. Maybe there's a handshake agreement. Maybe he's already our player next year, and it's just some voodoo accounting is going to make that happen.
All the reporting is that there's no option to purchase.
Right.
Which doesn't make any sense, because I can't understand why Como is so high on this guy. Like,
there's no option to purchase because it's already been executed.
There is no purchase option because he's been purchased already.
Right. That's true. If there was already a purchase agreed, it would be accurate to report there is no purchase option.
Right. The purchase has been agreed for the January window.
Right.
We told you there was no purchase option.
Yeah.
I am altering the deal. Pray I don't alter it any further. I don't want to get down on the kid either.
I don't either.
Because
I do.
I mean, I give him credit. He's playing with the Batman mask on. Like I said, he seems like he hustles. He does a lot of dirty work on the field. Just the final product isn't there. And the eyeball test is just, as far as being a striker goes, the eyeball test is coming up wanting, is how I would describe it.
Okay.
What's the point in playing a striker who can't hit the ball?
He's good with his feet.
Yeah, but
do you want to take that off the table entirely?
No.
Well, here's the problem, though. Okay, so that's a great transition to the goals that Nashville scores in this game.
Yeah, actually.
Because Nashville scores 2 goals in this game, both by Sam Surridge, who I guess may have been listening to the postcast when we were saying that he has fewer goals than Yuya Kubo and like clowning him a little bit on that.
Yeah.
So in
classic tradition, a bad player scored on FC Cincinnati.
Right.
Let's go.
Right. So the going in reverse order, because it ties in here. The second goal that Surridge scores is off a set piece where he doesn't even jump for the ball. It's the ball gets over 2 different defenders, one Nashville player jumping, an FC Cincinnati player not jumping, comes down to Surridge. Surridge just sort of nods it from a standing position into the back of the net. He's being marked for some reason by Sergio Santos on this play, which God help me if you can understand why that's happening, why their best striker is being marked by Santos. And if you've got a guy on the field who can't head the ball because his face is broken, you're effectively defending a corner 9v10.
Yeah.
Like you're giving up one of your dudes right there. And FC Cincinnati is already horrendous at set pieces. Outside set pieces, corner kicks. They are horrendous at corner kicks, both defending them and taking them. And you're hurting your ability to defend the corner by having a guy who can't use his head or is going to be reluctant to use his head instead of somebody like Kevin Kelsey, who can use all legal parts of his body to defend a corner.
So, what I thought was interesting about that second goal was like Santos wasn't switched off.
No,
he was man marking him.
He was marking him the whole time. And in fact, the answer from Pat Noonan on that goal was, he said, the second one's pretty clear with losing our mark on a set piece. We can do better there. You could tell you could tell Sergio knows it. He puts his hands up. We lost the mark in that moment, but he did a lot of good things in this game. So I don't want to just pinpoint that one moment. That's not on Sergio. Why is Sergio marking Sam Surridge?
Yeah.
Why?
I don't understand it. It doesn't make any sense.
That's why you brought in Cheeto, man. Like for these moments.
Yeah. And,
if you're going to man mark, you don't put Sergio Santos on their top like striker. That doesn't make any sense.
It's the like, why did you why did you pick why did you pick McLovin?
Right.
No, it was between that and Muhammad. Why were those the options?
Muhammad's most common name on the planet.
Right?
Read a
Like,
book.
Why? I have no idea why the design was for Sergio Santos to be marking Sam Surridge.
Yeah.
Um,
And can
like-
we just copy that play?
No,
can
because we
run
have
that
nobody
play?
that
can we
can
just
deliver
have,
the ball
can we
like
have
that.
their equivalent of Santos marking Kevin Kelsey on corners from now on?
Yeah. Can Sam Surridge mark Kevin Kelsey for the rest of the match? That would be keen.
Yeah, that actually puts it into perspective how silly it was.
And also, it's just I am endlessly jealous of teams that can deliver a corner kick into the box into a dangerous area. Like, we're more than happy to kick it from one corner to out of bounds on the other side or out for a goal kick. Just anybody. There has to be someone on this team that can deliver a dangerous ball on a corner kick.
Yeah.
I refuse to believe that there isn't anyone that can do this.
Alas, that appears to be where we're at.
But yeah,
it's the first goal is not unlike that. I mean, it's from the run of play, but it is a looping cross from outside of the box, which is, for all intents and purposes, a corner kick-esque delivery here that just lands right smack dab in the middle of the box, and chaos ensues, and a goal happens.
But the problem with that one, though, is when you watch the first goals, I guess we'll just talk about both of them right now. The first goal, there are two guys. It's a break, and there are two Nashville players that are running almost in sync with one another. Like, if you watch it, you'll think the game is glitching because they're like stride for stride with one another. And there is not an FC Cincinnati defender to be seen on either one of these guys. Eventually, and good on him, Sergio Santos is the only guy trucking back to defend this play. And again, I am forced to ask, why is Sergio Santos beating the actual midfield back to the box? Like, how is Sergio Santos beating Woboto back to the box? Like Kubo gets back. Kubo's on his man. But like, it's Santos and Orishano trucking back 10 yards behind these guys, and they're wide open. Like, and you can see when you start the play, there's some dudes jogging coming back on this. Yeah. Santos and Luca are the only guys on a dead sprint that recognize they are screwed from a numbers perspective if people don't get back.
Well, and the center backs are all guarding like the same spots.
Right.
Like you at some point you have to trust that like
somebody's
Miles is going to do his job, right? And think like, well, what if they go over Miles?
Man,
it was just too easy.
And they're guarding space and not men there, which is not great either. And in that break,
yeah, because two people go with the same guy. It leaves one person absolutely wide open, who then touches it to the other guy who's wide open, Surridge, and like, it's neat. On neither goal do you think Roman can do any better on that? They're wide open. You would expect any MLS player, any soccer player to make those goals from that position when they're uncontested.
Yeah.
When was the last time we had a goal like that? That was just a true, like, this guy's wide open and just shoots the ball like that.
Santos did score one of those not that long ago at home, right?
There was one like when they were the fourth goal against Montreal or something like that.
That feels right. Yeah.
Yeah. No. NYCFC in the Leagues Cup. Was that the goal?
Oh, that might have been it.
Where everything went crazy in the last like 10 minutes, 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah. It just goes back to Grayson's point. This team works so hard to score and gives up the easiest, most pedestrian goals you can possibly imagine.
And they play like, it's fun to watch them pull stuff off. But like you would think at some point the ability to do the spectacular would open up, simple plays.
I think Kelsey's last goal probably qualifies as that, where it was just the ball into the box and it was a chaos ball that falls to his feet and he kicks it in. And I think we all had the same reaction. It was like, why don't we do that more often? Just get the ball in there and see what the hell happens, right?
Now, as you said, this was not without its responses from FC Cincinnati. So Nashville did score in the 4th minute. The second goal that we talked about in this one, it was in the 9th minute that Lucho Acosta, welcome back, Lucho, responds, receiving an amazing pass and more really amazing dummy from Assad, Orishano dribbling into the box. And it was, I mean, man, we're talking about this exactly. So much work and effort goes into scoring this goal, where Orishano has like 14 step overs in a row into the box. Gets a pass off. Assad has to do this like crazy dummy where he also like kind of gets clipped and falls over at the same time, and it leaves the ball there just for Lucho, who does take a little touch on the top of the ball to roll it in front of him, and just absolutely freezes. What's his name? Willis there to the spot.
Dexter Loomis.
It's so good. Yeah, the goal was incredible. It was shades of Ronaldinho dancing at the top of the box in the 2002 World Cup, freezing David Seaman's on the line. The
step overs from Luca were elite, though.
So
they were
good.
elite step overs right there.
It was funny because it's like you want to say it's excessive, but like if he takes like one less, Assad and Lucio aren't in the exact positions that they're in for like the dummy and the goal.
It's the step over butterfly effect right there. Is that any one step over like too few? It's like the any given Sunday. You take one step over too many, you miss the run. You take one step over too few, the guy isn't quite there.
It's funny that Orishano keeps getting away with all the things that, like, I imagine as a coach, you're pissed that your guys keep doing. So, like, the million step overs into the box is kind of an annoying move. And then the 65-yard plus bomb shot, it's just like, man, don't be taking those. But he keeps being successful with these.
Right, so it just works.
I know there's thought about like Orishano, eventually like moving abroad.
Right.
But I am wondering if like Orishano, like Lucho, is just destined to be like the best player in MLS. Because when you're that talented in MLS, you get to like do stuff.
Yeah.
Like that. But if you go to like Europe, right? They're like,
you get decleated for doing something like that.
You have to fit into like the tactical scheme of the team.
Right.
Like you were talking about like Lucho going to like PSG. Well, like Lucho wouldn't be Lucho at PSG.
No.
He would have to like figure out some other way to play. And if like Atlas was any indication, like Lucho needs to be in a situation where you just don't bother him.
Right.
Just don't
let me do my work.
Let me do my thing. And like if you're good enough, you can get away with that in MLS.
It's successful. Yeah.
Right.
Orishano.
When you're good enough starting pitcher, you can shake the sign off from the catcher. You're not good. They're calling the game for you from the dugout. Like,
right.
Like you get some freedom once you're the best dude on the field. I just want to call attention to this. Just, we don't get to see the step overs a lot. These are elite. Like he's leaning full shoulder into each one of these, dipping right, dipping left. He's got his hands out huge, making himself big on every single one of these, which is really the
like
point
he's trying to
of this.
Scare a bear off.
Yeah, no, it's definitely like he's making himself large. He's.
If he's
you can only imagine while he's doing it,
pulled his jacket out. Yeah.
You can only imagine while he's doing it, he's going like, ah!
I hope he was shouting at this guy. I hope he was, or doing the whole watch my feet. But just like it's elite South American level step overs, and it's just I need that to be his thing now. I need him to do that more often.
We really are like an and one mixtape team, and then we lose to a team that's really good at layups.
Yeah. Yeah, the only thing missing was the big dude on the microphone shouting in the background, giving some commentary on the step overs.
Right. There's like a team where they all have like, they're all shooting Rick Barry free throws.
Right.
Yeah, we lose to the Princeton offense every single time. The fundamentals are just so good.
Right. Oh,
his part. He gets into the action though. Luka gets his moment of glory. The step overs weren't enough. He decided that he needed to take some matters into his own hands.
Oh, man.
Second half. I said the set pieces for FC Cincinnati is a problem.
No.
The corner kicks are a problem.
Yes.
The set pieces, very good.
So long as Luka is taking the kick, which was great because this is a moment where we were all watching and all of us immediately saw Lucho on the field or on the camera and we're like, no, don't let Lucho take this. This has to be Luka's. This has to be Orshano's.
It was a little outside Lucho's range.
It was.
Because Lucho was a touch and placement kicker.
Yeah.
It's a little far to be like, blooping it right to a spot because a goalie has time to get there.
Yeah.
Can I ask a question as to whether or not this would work as a tactic? We talked about this at Street Side, but I want to bring it up on the air to see if anyone has a thought on it.
Okay.
All right. So Luka and Lucho were standing over the ball. And there have been times in the history of this sport where players have not been able to get along or decide who it is that's going to take the corner kick.
Yes.
What would happen, theoretically speaking, if Lucho and Luka started shouting at each other in Spanish and started really, really pretending like they were having a heated argument? Maybe Luka shoves Lucho, Lucho shoves Luka, they're shouting. And in the confusion, somebody runs up behind them and takes the kick while everyone is distracted paying attention to the giant fight that's happening between these two players.
You could do that with, I would trust either Buka or Kubo to run up and take that ball.
Yeah. I
Be
think
hilarious too. Like the visual would be outstanding.
That's something I think you save that for the playoffs.
Yes.
That's how you beat Columbus is with that special play.
That's how you beat Miami. That's an Eastern Conference final play.
Yeah. Where it's like you're distracting Suarez and Messi and everybody that's down there because of the incredible argument and drama that's happening
Plus,
right there.
The argument would be in Spanish.
Yeah.
So Suarez and Messi and all them are tracking it.
It's also a Real Housewives city. So the drama just sort of naturally exists right there.
I do think it's legal. However, referees have some discretion when it comes to quote unquote unsporting behavior. And
you could never admit it.
Right.
You could never admit it.
Or what if you told the ref I'm going to do this ahead of time? Like it's when the tackle checking in is eligible.
Because they would tell you not to do it.
They would tell you don't do it.
It is like now trick plays in football. You absolutely have to because you'd be like, ref, you're going to make a mistake if I don't tell you I'm going to toss.
If I don't tell you that this rule is what I'm citing to in order to make sure that this is legal, you're going to do something stupid like blow the whistle and call the play dead.
Right. Nope. But I think the bones of it are legal. So that's my very informed opinion. So yeah, I think
you lose nothing by doing it though, because all they do is blow it dead, right? And just you'd have to kick it again.
Yeah. And if you do score and they blow it dead, you still get a cool highlight forever. So
and then you put it in the keeper's head that, oh God, they beat me.
Exactly.
If they took that goal from us, I don't know what I would do.
I'd be so angry. Not the least of which because I came up with the concept and they took my goal away from me.
Chiefs trick play in soccer is WWE. I want that to.
They had Philly in the Super Bowl. We got the Chiefs special coming in for the Eastern Conference Finals.
There it is. Now,
speaking of refs inserting themselves into whether or not something is a goal that's legal, Kevin.
Yeah, taking goals away. Ugh.
The thieves of joy on the third team.
So I mean, there's a couple of different takes to be had here, but ultimately, Gioacchini has a goal called offside, called back for offside. It is flagged in the moment by the assistant referee. It is a bit of an awkward play because the ball is initially played forward, and at that moment when the ball is kicked forward, nobody's in an offside position, although immediately afterwards people run into an offside position, which is fine, legal. Then the ball bounces around a little bit before going back out to be shot again. And again, nobody's in an offside position when the shot is taken. However, it is during Gioacchini gathering the ball, Assad is in an offside position. Now, this is my take on this, which is I think the assistant referee incorrectly saw Assad as offside when the shot was taken, and that is why he raised the flag. And then when the VAR took a look at it, they came up with he must have meant Assad was interfering with play from an offside position, therefore it's offside. I think that's how they came about deciding it. But I don't think that's true. I don't know if I'm being a homer or not. But Grace, I know you've dove into not only the replay but the rule book here. So, how do you see this?
So it took a bit, and like, look, we kind of had surmised. I think. Look, we were watching it with no sound,
right?
So we had no inclination of like what the call was on the field.
Yeah.
Which it had to be a call on the field because they didn't go to the monitor to overturn the goal. And so we're watching the replays and it's like, oh no, Assad's not offside on the initial run. He's not in an offside position on the shot. Even if he were, he's not in any location to like affect the goalie's, line of sight or anything. So it quickly becomes like, are they saying that when he came back from offside to onside while Gioacchini was dribbling, that somehow created the situation that resulted in offside offense?
Yeah.
And, you had Andrew Wiebe saying, well, my head immediately went to, quote, interfering with an opponent, which is a lie. Okay. But I also want to say like a couple of things about that really quickly. One, when I say like he's lying, I don't want to say like, I'm not saying like he's a bad person. Okay. Like, I'm not saying like he's doing this to hurt you or whatever. He's a guy with a job. You think back to a bunch of those like instant replay videos where it later turns out you look at like VAR and, Wiebe has said like, oh, this call was right because of this. And you can look at the inside video review that Pro puts out and they say, well, actually that was wrong.
Right.
Or like there was a game earlier in the season it was the one where the Kubo goal was taken away and Chris Penso was the VAR, Serge Boyko was the center ref, and in the instant replay video that Wiebe put out, he was like, oh, this was such a great get by Chris Penso to like see this and correctly overturn this goal. And you go and watch inside video review and you listen to the audio, and actually the VAR was ready to allow the goal. And it was the center ref who spotted the handball in the buildup. And it's just they're looking for reasons to excuse the calls because they work for the league. Right. And it's not because they're bad people. No, it's because they work. It's because they work for the league, right? Yeah. It's just like if my employer finds out about this podcast, I will only have I only have two ways to go, right? One is like trying to get a job with MLS and saying like, well, actually, you know, pro is practically perfect in every way. And, you know, I love Miami. Or trying to start some kind of anti-woke soccer media startup. You have to. It's, you know, you got to pay your bills.
Gotta go where the money's at.
The only two options are those two options. Yes.
It's just how it is. And so it's like, these aren't bad people, right? So like when like Matt Doyle a couple years ago said that Matt Turner was the best American goalkeeper of all time, right?
Yeah.
Don't get mad about that.
No.
Like note it, like understand where it's coming from. But like, these are people, they work, they have jobs.
Yeah.
You know, and like good for everybody who can make a living in soccer. So like, I guess like folks who are like, oh, like adding people that work for MLS and saying like explain this call or whatever. Oh, they'll explain it.
Yeah.
Right. You think you're having like a have you no shame Mr. Senator McCarthy situation?
These people have no shame.
They're paid because they're paid not to have any shame. It's fine. Right. It's fine. You just have to understand it. You have to understand that that's just what it is. Okay. So like when Weeby tweets out like interfering with an opponent, and then Doyle is like, you know, Weeby's owning Cincinnati fans because he's actually read the laws of the game. Well, I responded to Matt Doyle and I said, you know, if he read the laws of the game, like is interfering with an opponent an offside offense, or is interfering with an opponent in one of specifically enumerated ways,
right,
an offense? You know, no response.
Yeah.
Right. Because there's no response to that, because like being offside and interfering with an opponent is not an offside offense. It's offside offense to be interfering with an opponent by, for example, preventing an opponent from playing or being able to play the ball by clearly obstructing the opponent's line of vision, or challenging an opponent for the ball, or clearly attempting to play a ball which is close when this action impacts on an opponent, or making an obvious action which clearly impacts the ability of an opponent to play the ball. Okay, so first of all, he's not preventing an opponent from playing or being able to play the ball by obstructing his line of vision.
Correct.
That's not happening.
They can see
he's
that.
not challenging an opponent for the ball.
Nope.
Joe Akini is dribbling the ball. He's not clearly attempting to play a ball which is close when this action impacts on an opponent. Again, Joe Akini is dribbling the ball several feet away. It's not anything. So the only possible grounds for this offense is making an obvious action which clearly impacts on the ability of an opponent to play the ball, not on the ability of an opponent to track a runner,
right?
Not on the ability of opponent to, you know, get back or whatever,
right. Stand
to
in a
play
different
the ball
position. Yeah,
right?
It's to get to the ball.
And so I don't see an obvious action that clearly impacts the ability of an opponent to play the ball.
Right.
I don't see that. And nobody defending the call has made that argument.
Yeah.
They have just said interfering with an opponent, which is not an offside offense.
No. And what's the reason why, you know, that like why Grayson's interpretation of this is correct and why this call was nonsense is that list of enumerated activities matters, because this is so rarely called,
right,
because those enumerated actions rarely happen in a game. Like I've been watching soccer for the better part of 20 years. I can count on one hand how many times I've seen a play flagged for offside because someone interfered that wasn't a part of the play. And now when I say that, setting aside the whole like he's screening the goalkeeper from an offside position, you see that called on a pretty common. But this type of an offside call where you're not screening the goalkeeper, you're not impacting the goalkeeper in any way, that this is purely based on your actions on another player on the defense coming back from an offside position. I've seen this called maybe 2 or 3 times in my life, and I've never seen it called in real time. The only times I've seen it called is when they go back and they look at VAR. So you're really only talking over the last couple of years. I don't recall this ever being called prior to VAR.
I put out a tweet. I said, I challenge anyone defending the Assad call to produce an example from another game where that call was made live. And
live.
And I understand that, like, the lack of people replying to that tweet doesn't mean like nobody can come up with something. But I will say, like, nobody has. Right. And I haven't seen it from any of the people defending the call. And we have breaking news.
Uh-oh.
David Bell has been fired by the Reds.
Oh my God.
Back to offside goals.
So there's gonna be a video, an inside or whatever they call it, instant replay video put out by MLS in a couple of days. Don't watch it.
No.
These are people that they have several days to put together their explanation.
Right.
By that point in time, maybe he'll have actually found the relevant text of the rule to back explain it. But this is if this is an offside offense, you could call it on basically every free kick,
every corner kick, where somebody comes back.
Not corner kicks, because corners there's no offside.
Can't be offside on a corner.
On the second ball of a corner kick.
Yep.
And the scrum, as people are moving around on the second ball, they absolutely can call that.
Yeah.
You can call this stuff. You could call stuff like this all the time, but it's just kind of understood that, like, something you can do. And this is not even what Assad did. Assad is just running back to get onside while Joe Aquini is dribbling the ball.
Right.
Yeah.
And nobody's challenging him for the ball. It's not like the defender's right on him and Assad runs back and, like, knocks him off the ball.
And that's what the rule is written for, is for Assad to screen the defender from getting back to Joe Aquini. But that's just not what's happening.
No.
So, yeah.
No, it's like, okay, yeah, he makes contact with the guys he's tracking back. It's fine. He's entitled to that space too. Like, it's not like the defender beat him to the spot or anything like that. He's going back to get back onside. You'd call this on just about every one of those plays where a defender or an attacking player is tracking back to make himself available or to stay onside or to avoid being in a position where he's being accused of being in an offside position and impacting the play. The other thing too that bothers me about this, number one, it's a subjective call. It's not like offside where it's a binary, is either too far or is not too far. The fact that, number one, I don't believe that an assistant referee can see this in real time. If an assistant referee is focusing on that line, watching the line down to see when somebody is offside or not, I don't believe an AR is paying attention to what people are doing as they're going back and forth on. By making the call like that in real time, how in the world would you ever check and overrule this with VAR? Because it's a subjective call. Now, if he hadn't made the call, you can have VAR take a look at it, and they can look at it. And if it's clear and obvious, they can make the call. But by making the call on the field, it's like, okay, well, that's the ball game there, because how are you going to overrule this very subjective call by an official?
And I thought that was the point of the new rules, which is to encourage keeping the flag down on 50-50 calls so that VAR can sort it out. And
that's fine to put the flag up and then go to VAR, because it's going to be a binary thing. He's either on or he's off, and the video will determine.
Right.
But if you put the flag up on a subjective call like that, there's no way to go back and overturn that. There's no way you will ever get to a point of clear and obvious of, did he impede this player, unless you can show quite literally that they never touched.
Yeah.
The other thing, I guess two things on that. One is by putting the flag up, we are never going to hear the VAR audio that from the discussion.
Yep.
Because it didn't go to video review. And so Pro is not going to put a video out of the VAR discussion of that call, which is a shame because I think I would like to hear it. If he puts the flag down and they go to video review, then we do hear that. Then we do get the video out later with the audio, which would be very edifying. But the other thing is like this specific iteration of this offside call is so rarely enforced that, and this is going to sound hyperbolic, it's match fixy to enforce the rule in this way, because we've got another thing now that we're going to be able to point to that has only ever been enforced against us. It's like touching the ref again, or, swarming the ref, or kicking the ball away. Just like another thing that is like only subjectively enforced to hurt FC Cincinnati and ignored when other teams do it. And I guarantee you that sometime in the next 4 games, a goal is going to come where a nearby player from another team is in an offside position or is coming back from an offside position to an onside position, and you'll be able to compare it to the Gioacchini goal, and it's going to feel like a selectively enforced thing, and it's going to feel that way because it is, because they don't call this all the time or hardly ever. And you look at that stupid win probability graph, right? And you look at how much that swings.
Yeah. Each
time one team scores a goal. And it is like, when you make an outlier decision that gifts a team a goal or takes away a goal from a team, you have swung the results of that match. Like you have influenced in a outsized way the result, which is exactly what folks like us think referees should not be doing. But I guess if you think of them as the third team, this is chalk another victory up for the third team this game.
Kevin and I were laughing because every single time something happened to this game, one of us would shout at the television, "Put the win probability up." When we were sitting at street side watching this.
I loved my favorite version of that was they showed it was whatever after like the second goal, right? So it's now 1-1 in the 13th minute of the game, and they showed what the win probability was before the game and where it stands now, and it was tie fucking game 13 minutes into the match. You're never going to believe this. They were exactly the same.
So the real question, I guess, is do we believe, because the answer is yes, I just want you both to agree with me on this, the call on, I think it was Hani Mukhtar's goal where he was ruled offside was absolutely a makeup call because someone felt embarrassed or a sense of shame at how bad that offside call was on the Gioacchini goal.
It did feel that way.
It felt very makeup-y.
Yeah. And I don't know if and maybe we did hear this. Did they cite the exact same rule for ruling the Mukhtar's goal off, or was that something else? Because
I don't know, but like I'll say this. Surridge was much closer to Mukhtar than Assad was to Gioacchini. Yes. I haven't gone back and looked at that one, so I don't know if maybe Mukhtar himself was in an offside position,
a hair off or something. Yeah.
But it wouldn't surprise me. And I will say, like, if you're going to kill the Gioacchini goal, you can't let that Mukhtar goal stand.
Yeah, absolutely not.
Like, there's no argument.
So
I would have let. I mean, unless again, I have not gone back and looked at the Mukhtar goal. I've gone back and looked at the Gioacchini goal multiple times. But if it was indeed just Surridge coming back, I probably would lean toward letting both goals go.
Yeah. So the one was in the our offside call was in the first half, right?
Yeah.
And this other one was in the second half.
Yes.
I guarantee you someone got a fucking talking to at halftime. And it was like, you better be on your P's and Q's watching for this for the rest of the fucking game. If you're gonna make that call in the first half, you better be watching like a hawk for the rest of the game to make sure that that's fair both ways. Because the odds, like I said, I've seen this happen maybe 4 or 5 times in my entire life of watching soccer. The fact that it happened twice in one game felt very, I don't want to go to match fixy, but it's deliberate. It felt one of two things. It was either someone clued this official, this AR, into this type of offense. Like he was reading the rule book right before the kickoff and was like, I am eager to show off my newfound knowledge. Or there was some edict from the league or something in the referee's group chat of, hey guys, we've been letting people get away with this for a while. We need to tighten this up. Like one of those things the NFL does from time to time to ruin the game, like point of emphasis.
Oh, yeah.
Or somebody got on the horn at halftime to the referee's locker room and called the third team up and was like, that was nonsense. Don't do that again, or do that. Make sure you're doing that the same way the rest of the game, because that was horseshit.
Yeah. Oh, well, regardless, get a point out of the whole mess and a new fun thing to look forward to for the rest of the year.
We gotta be done with the game.
Yeah, I think we're done. I will say the battle between Awazim and Surridge was fun to watch. They were really going at it in the second half. It really felt like we moved Awazim around to avoid Surridge, and they Surridge.
They brought Surridge back
right back over.
Yeah.
I just thought about this. Is the reason why you get 1 point for a draw is that both teams get 1 point and the third team gets the third point?
Yeah.
Damn. How many points does the third team have? And is the third team cruising their way to a supporter shield win? Think about it. Every draw is a point for the
for the third team.
Man, they've got to be sitting on like 150 points. I have no idea how many draws happened over the course of a season. That feels right, though.
They're killing it. 50, 53, 62, 72, 81, 90. 2, right? 99,
but only for the draws. So
111. There have been 111 draws, so they're sitting on 111 points.
You gotta divide that by 2, right?
Why?
Because every draw has 2 teams involved.
Right, so 55. So they're on 55 points right now, which would be, well, they're just right behind us in third place for the year. They're pushing us. They're pushing for a home. The third team's pushing for a home playoff game.
That's really funny. God, we might need to post a supporter shield standing with the third team. Their next opponent is just always going to show as FC Cincinnati.
That was like when they did the rivalry thing that Doyle tweeted out this week. Yeah. I'm really mad there wasn't an option for officials. The officials should have been PRO.
Yeah, Pro versus FC Cincinnati is the true rivalry of this league. And thank you to everybody who put San Diego on that one. Very funny.
Speaking of rivalry talk, and I guess it could be the last point about this game. Apparently, according to the traveling supporters, Nashville fans definitely consider this a rivalry.
Oh,
well, I saw a video on Twitter of a Nashville player describing the rivalry. Like, this is not a rivalry. This is Charlotte.
Right.
Like, this is not a rivalry. Our rivals in order are San Diego.
Yes.
New York Red Bulls.
Yes.
Columbus Crew. The PSRA. That's it.
I'd put Louisville as 5th as a sentimental bastard, but yeah.
Fine, if you have to have 5, yeah.
Right. I do like the idea of, can we make this a graphic official ranking of FC Cincinnati rivals? just for having Blue City below the PSR.
They're still on the list, to be clear.
You're there. Like,
And
you
honestly,
just met
like,
new friends.
Like Philly would be ahead of Nashville for sure.
Yeah.
Probably NYCFC, like because of that 4-4 game.
Miami. I put
Miami
ahead of Nashville.
Yeah, because that 4-4 game, Jesus Christ.
We'll see how next weekend goes, but LAFC would be a fun one.
I don't think LAFC could be a rival of ours.
Probably not.
But they could get there with a very annoying game next weekend.
Yeah. Pittsburgh Riverhounds are ahead of them.
Probably.
Detroit City.
Yeah, actually, if I had to rank
old heads remember
the teams I don't want to lose to, Detroit is still very high up on that list.
Like, I only don't want to lose to Nashville because they're bad.
Right.
Like, that's it.
right.
Like, I don't want to lose to any bad team.
Many years ago, I wrote a blog post about how the Nashville franchise would not be successful, that it would ultimately fall on its face. The groundwork being laid there was not one of long-term success. And during the rough period for FC Cincinnati, Nashville fans loved to tweet that blog post back to me. And I'll just say I haven't had that sent to me in about 3 years. So love the empty stadium.
Yeah, I do appreciate one aspect of Nashville where they truly are elite. And that's the choice to make every seat a different color in no discernible pattern, kind of like digital camo. It makes it very difficult to tell how full the stadium is and how many empty seats there are.
There could have been 53,000 people there, and it still looks exactly the same.
5,300. It would have looked exactly the same and sounded exactly the same.
Except for the supporter section, which was very clearly like a third full. That was rough.
Right. And if we're such a goddamn rival, where was the TIFO? That's right. There wasn't one.
Mm-hmm.
Well, also, there wasn't enough fans to.
Right. They would have trouble hoisting it.
They had a TIFO. They couldn't actually deploy it. Yeah.
Yeah. They didn't have enough people in the supporters section to actually pull it up.
That would have been a fun game for a card stunt. It's like, why are there like a couple of people holding up yellow? Are they saying like they should have yellow cards?
Especially the fringes of the supporters section is like weirdly red, and one section is like, oh, it's a really elaborate design if everybody else had showed up.
Well, the Vols won, so.
Hey, that's...
everybody got their true. They got their true winner.
Everybody left happy. All right, let's head on over to part two. We've got some Patreon questions, including one from me that I want to ask, and then we'll move on from there. I don't know where we're going to go from there, but I'll move on from there. So let's head on over to part two. Oh, and before we get to the next part of the episode, I do want to tell you about our friends over at Cincy Shirts. They have been with us from the beginning. They were one of the very first supporters of FC Cincinnati. They were our very first sponsor here at the Post. We absolutely love them. They have the best gear for all of your Cincinnati sports, Cincinnati memorabilia. You got a fun community that you're a part of. They probably have a relevant Cincy shirt for you on their website or in one of their 3 locations. They're in Oakley Hyde Park, they're in Loveland, and they're over in Fort Mitchell in Kentucky. Really, really good people. They will print on demand in their shop. If they have a design on their website that they are not, if they don't have stock in their store, they will print on demand for you. They are awesome. One thing that I promised you they will never have stock of, but absolutely do sell, are the Post shirts. They have shirts from us. We have made designs that are up on the website. You can find a link to them in the description of this episode. Go check them out in person, and if you tell them which design you want printed on a shirt right then and there, they'll do it for you. It's great, and I know it's great because I've been able to do it myself. Really good folks. And hey, while you're there picking up Post merch or Bengals merch or anything else, you drop this code, ThePostCincy, all one word, all caps, get 10% off your next order. Again, the promo code is ThePostCincy. 10% off your next order for anything from Cincy Shirts. It's an awesome, awesome deal. Click the link in the description below as well for links to our merch. Otherwise, a huge thank you to Cincy Shirts for sponsoring this episode. And thank you, listener, for using that code. All right, we are back. And look, we have your questions to answer. We're getting to the end of the month. I'm looking at a big, long list of questions that we definitely have to get through. However, this was a question I wanted to ask earlier, and it feels like it would fit now in the Patreon section, which, by the way, if you'd like to ask a question on the podcast, apparently you have one of two ways. One is support us on Patreon, $2 a month. You help keep the show afloat. Or two, be a co-host of the show, which is how I'm going to ask my question here. So good luck on that one. But would Gioacchini score more goals than Nick Marcanic in the USL Championship this year if he had played the whole year in the USL Championship?
No,
I don't think so either. It's this weird thing with so being a good goal scorer in the lower divisions is a very specific skill set because you're playing with lower division players around you. Mm-hmm. It's why it's interesting how part of the criticism that you get from the United States national team to a certain extent is that they are Ferrari players that are being asked to go off-roading in CONCACAF. And they work well as value adds to build a Ferrari. But when you need to build something that's capable of playing in Trinidad and Tobago and grinding out a result, they're just not the right tool for the job. I think it's a very, very specific skill set to be successful in lower division soccer.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
So I kind of this was bait, to be clear. But I put a tweet out. I asked if any of FC Cincinnati's current striker room would score 26 goals in USL. And I think Kelsey would be really good in USL. I think Kubo would be really good in USL. But I don't think anybody in MLS would score 26 goals in USL. I mean, there's a reason that Marcanic set the record.
Right.
And you think about Ledesma. Okay. He scored 6 goals in MLS in 2019.
Yeah.
And he's scored 17 or something in USL the year before.
Yeah.
He scored 16 in 2018 in USL. He scored 6 in MLS. How much better do you think Gioacchini is than Ledesma?
Younger.
Any better?
Maybe.
No, he's to Chief's point. He's younger. I don't think he's better than Ledesma.
So Ledesma didn't score 26 goals in USL in 2018.
16 goals was the MVP that year.
Yeah, and he was good enough to score 6 in MLS in 2019. Do you think you think Gioacchini scores 6 goals in the 2019 FC Cincinnati team?
Maybe.
No.
Yeah. So I'm going to say no. I think 26 goals in USL is an achievement.
So then do you think Nick Marcanic would score more than 6 goals next year if he got to start for, say, a reasonable club? Let's say Chicago Fire.
You said reasonable.
Well, I'm trying to think, if he starts for Miami, I think the answer is yes, obviously. I'm trying to think of a team that would reasonably sign him.
You start him at Charlotte or Orlando City.
Yeah, yeah.
If he gets a full season of starts, yeah.
Probably.
So.
Yeah.
If you had right now, you could go back in time and you could, instead of getting Gioacchini, you could get Marcanic and a DP midfielder. like a fake DP midfielder, kind of like just somebody where you're just like, okay, he's just above max budget charge. We've
Like
got
a
the spot.
Junior Moreno, maybe.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna keep harping on this point.
I'd take Marcanic back. I think I would take Marcanic back.
Taking Nick Marcanic and Junior Moreno would be a very funny FC Cincinnati move this summer.
Well, Nick Marcanic is already going to Spain.
Right. No, I'm just saying if instead of going to Spain, we had signed him and Junior Moreno.
Come on back, guys. Let's go. Is Calvin Harris around? Let's bring the band back together.
All is forgiven. What's Arias up to? Can we sign him still? Damn. Yeah.
Good question, Kevin.
Thanks. Okay. Now on to people who actually paid to ask questions. Patrick Sweeney asks, what is the maximum number of FC Cincinnati scarves someone can wear to a game and not look totally ridiculous? Is it 5? Is it 10? Is it more?
The maximum number?
What's the maximum
without
number?
looking ridiculous?
1.
One's the maximum, or is 0 the maximum? And if you wear one, you look ridiculous.
I mean, I'm not a scarf guy,
Yeah.
so I would say 0.
I think you could probably get away with 4.
I think the scarf thing's a little silly.
How dare you, first off.
Yeah, fine.
Yeah.
Like, I'm wrong. I'm happy to be wrong on this, but
Yeah, I'd say 4. You can get away. Well, it depends. If they're the summer weight scarves, I think you can get away with more. I think that if you wear more than one wool scarves, it gets ridiculous real quick and hot.
Yeah.
But I bet you, I've gotten away with 2 or 3 before at a match, and I felt like that was not completely crazy.
I'll say that if it's like a winter, like let's say we're going to like Eastern Conference finals or MLS Cup finals. So it's like late November, early December.
Yeah.
If you have like a nice ensemble and a nice coat, you could probably get away with a scarf like under the coat and a scarf over the coat.
Oh, yeah.
So he's gonna Grayson's giving you 2 now. Okay.
He went from 0
in the right
to 2.
circumstance.
Yeah.
Kevin, where are you at?
But I've seen most fans.
Lightweight scarf, yeah. I think 3 or 4 is probably the absolute maximum. The most I've ever worn to a game is 2, though. So,
but you could get into like 1 around the waist, probably.
Oh, sure. Or you could like treat one as a headband, even depending on
maybe one hanging out of the back pocket.
What's going on here? Why do you want to wear more than one scarf?
You got to rep for all your different groups, man.
Yeah.
What different groups?
Your supporters group, your country, your team. You know, maybe
this country.
Yeah.
You're not wearing a USA scarf to these games,
Grayson?
Grayson?
It's the club. It's the club game.
You're
but
not
it's
wearing
in
a Jamaican
America.
scarf.
I'm
to
sorry,
a game?
I didn't realize. Okay, Grayson the commie over here.
Are we wearing like a free Ukraine scarf and
they make they make you leave those at the door.
No, you could a redacted other kind of scarf.
Free redacted.
Imagine whatever is appropriate, whatever you would approve of.
Whatever your cause is. No, you could like if they had been in town this past weekend, you might want to wear like your Pride or your DI scarf. You may have wanted to wear that club one that had like the pockets for Oktoberfest. Maybe get another one in there that just like is an orange and blue thing to keep the orange and blue going.
It's like a Steve Bannon thing where you wear like 3 polo shirts.
As long as you're not popping the collar, you can do whatever you want.
It's a status thing for me. So I like to wear my my whiteout Mad Tree Pride scarf and then an OG War Pig scarf.
I like to wear watches on both hands. I like to wear both crew and ankle socks.
Good.
So Grayson is just like a JRPG protagonist is what we're finding out right here.
Yes.
Like way too many accessories.
It's just whatever pluses the pluses and minuses the minuses.
Soldier first class over here.
Oh, I love it. Okay. Grokky asks us, how excited are you for the discussion when Miami wins the Supporter Shield, but not MLS Cup? That the Supporter Shield is actually the true test of MLS excellence.
There's no doubt in my mind that once Miami wins Supporter Shield, it'll be announced that the 2024 Supporter Shield winner qualifies for the 2025 Club World Cup.
Will this be the thing that propels teams to have, like, if you put a gold star over the badge for winning the cup and like a silver star over the badge for winning the shield, so that Miami can sell new kits with the Messi name on the back that has the star on it now?
Absolutely.
I would think so.
We do really need them to not win MLS Cup, but win the Shield in order for that to really drive it. If they win the Cup,
they won't win MLS Cup. They will lose in the first round to Philadelphia Union.
Oh my God.
Mark it.
That feels plausible.
That is the funniest possible outcome. No, is it not the funniest possible outcome?
Oh, losing 2 straight to Philly Union and getting dumped out of the playoffs unceremoniously. Yeah, that's really funny.
And then Philly losing whoever they would play in the next game. Should be
Red Bull, probably.
Yeah, that makes sense.
You imagine Jim Curtin, like, he's dressed like a youth pastor going over there to shake Messi's hands after knocking him out.
MLS doesn't reseed, right?
Correct. I had to look that up earlier. Yeah.
That'd be awesome. That would actually be really funny.
Jim Curtin wearing like 4 scarves and 3 jackets.
And a hat with a flat bill on it for no reason whatsoever, with the sticker still on.
Hang on real quick. I gotta look at the standings here. So that would then mean we would probably play, oh God,
Columbus Crew.
Well, I was gonna say New York City FC in the first round, and then
I'll take that.
And then Columbus Crew will probably beat Orlando or Charlotte, one of those two. Yeah, and then if we were to somehow get past Columbus Crew, that would be a New York Red Bulls in the Eastern Conference Finals. You ready to get your heart broken again?
Hurt me again, please.
Okay. Ian Rexrod asks us, is soccer a better sport than basketball, American football, baseball, and hockey? Why or why not? I really like this question. It just cuts at the core of it. Is it better than basketball, American football, baseball, and hockey? I will make the argument that it is, just to get us started. So here's my argument for it. Basketball is very quickly becoming a solved game in that it is all nothing but 3-pointers. They either need to push the 3-point line back or eliminate the 3-point line in some way, shape, or form. That sport needs reform in order to maintain its entertainment value, which I do think is a pretty key part of a sport being a sport. American football is basically just amateur armchair lawyers arguing about rules at this point. Nothing makes sense. Everything is codified and codified again and codified again. It barely makes sense. Baseball, it's fun. It's lovely. It's historic. It's still boring as shit. Hockey's great. Hockey is lovely. Hockey is inaccessible as shit. It is not something that you can just play on a whim as a sport, as a recreation. It's hard to find good places to see hockey. It's not hard to find. If you want to watch baseball around here and you don't want to watch the Reds, you can watch college baseball. You can see high school baseball. It's all sorts of good stuff. You want to watch hockey around here? If you're not going to a Cyclones game, I guess you're going to the University of Miami. I don't know. Not fun. Soccer, accessible, fun, exciting, innovative. It's all over the world, has history, has everything the other ones have. So there's my argument.
I'm going to say it depends on like what you're looking for. I love American football. Yeah. I have loved American football. And the reason why I love American football is that it turns this game into a series of discrete individual events that can then be analyzed, broken down. And it's kind of like there are 80 individual games in the course of one single game, and they all add up to the game you're playing, but there's an endless amount of complexity, and each play is its own little universe. Each thing is its own, each action of the player on the field, you can break down to how that impacts the play as a whole, and each play impacts future plays. And it's the strategy of it is beautiful to me, and the ability to deconstruct it is beautiful to me. But it's also there's not a lot of action in it. You're watching, this thing happened for 5 seconds, then talking about it for a minute. This thing happened for 5 seconds and talk about it for a minute, which makes for a great viewing experience.
Yes.
Because there is time to talk and analyze the game as it's going on, versus when you watch soccer, you get enthralled with watching it, but like there's not a lot of downtime to have a conversation about what just happened. You watch it, and then afterwards you're like, okay, what the hell did we just see? I love soccer. Don't get me wrong. I spend an inordinate amount of money and time on soccer. You're never going to convince me American football is bad, though. I'm just not here for it.
Oh, to be clear, I'm not saying any of these sports are bad. I love all these sports. I am keeping tabs on my fantasy football team as we record. I'm just making the argument that it's better than the others, and I'm happy to be wrong here. I don't know. Grayson, do you have input on the conversation?
So I think the question depends in large part on like best sport at what, in what context, in what time.
Mm-hmm.
I think there was probably a period of time where baseball was the best sport. But I think baseball, Kevin, to your point about basketball, I think baseball has been a solved sport many, many times.
Yeah.
Like baseball is always changing the rules because it's like so like data hacks baseball in such effective ways.
Yeah.
That like making it fun to watch is a constant effort. I think as far as like in the year 2024, it's American football. We live in the streaming, visual like television era.
Yeah.
And football is just the best sport on TV. It is.
It is.
It's because the stoppages make it easy to like throw in commercials and like, pop around to the fridge or, go use the restroom or whatever. It fits well with commentary and like extra stuff, like the ornament really fits well on TV with American football. It just doesn't fit in soccer all that well. Like even like the Premier League, like I don't care about soccer commentary at all. I don't think it adds anything to the game. I watch most soccer games on TV on mute.
Yeah.
I think soccer is better than American football in person.
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah.
But like it's not even close.
I think the NHL is that way too, for that matter.
Yeah, the NHL is too. It's a discrete experience. It's shorter. It's like, you're in when you're watching the game, the action just flows, right?
Yeah.
And then there's a stoppage and it's like, okay, I can go use the restroom, go get another beer, whatever, and then go back in. And it's another, flow, like set period of time. And I'm not going to be there for 4 hours. There's not going to be all that dead time, which like if you're at an NFL game in person, like the dead time is really distracting to me.
Yeah.
And then just like NFL games are such events that it's like your whole day.
Yeah.
Certainly ruins your whole day. I've been like miserable this entire afternoon.
Like going to an NFL game is like a whole day experience.
Yes.
And going to a soccer game, it could literally just be a 2-hour experience. Or two and a half.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, we've had that where you get off doing something, you get right down to the stadium before kick, and you're out the door as soon as kick's over.
Yeah,
yep.
It's fantastic.
Yeah.
The other thing about American football, though, that I'll give it to is, in addition to everything that Chief said, it's like an egalitarian sport in the sense that there's something for everybody to do. Like whatever your like body type, whatever kind of person you are, like there's something you can do on a football field. You know, even like the kicker punter, you know, the wide receiver is a different kind of guy than a running back, who's a different kind of guy than a linebacker, who's different than an offensive or defensive lineman. And all of them are extremely different for the most part from a quarterback. It's interesting, you know?
Yeah.
And then on top of that, like it's the most commercially successful proportionally.
I do think that like it's
like the NFL is the biggest league of any kind in the world.
Yeah.
NFL teams, it's like you want to talk about like there's individual soccer teams around the world that are worth as much as some NFL teams.
Right.
But as a whole, the economics of the NFL blow everything out of the water.
Right.
And what's interesting about the NFL, and it's kind of a problem like what Grayson was saying with soccer, and I think it's part of the reason why soccer was so slow to catch on in this country, in America, was that, you know, we've talked before about the idea that it's hard to put commercials into soccer. So it was hard to justify and find the money to televise soccer back in the day. But what the NFL is so successful about, and it's something that I think that MLS could learn something from, they won't, but they could learn something from it, is that football teaches you how to watch football while you're watching it. And you could walk in from another planet and sit down, and as long as you spoke the language of whatever the commentary was, the amount of downtime between each play, they educate you after each play about what went right, what went wrong, where the problem was. They'll do the replay after the play. This is where this guy blew an assignment and there was a free rusher to the quarterback and that disrupted everything. Or this wide receiver runs this pattern and it opens up into a zone where the zone is right here. And that's how it beat this defense right there. So if you watch a football game and then watch another one the next week, you will be gaining knowledge about the sport as you go along.
Yeah.
To the point, if you watch a full season of a football team, by the end of it, you're going to know pretty much all there is to know about the sport from watching it. The fun thing last year was you could see this online of people that were Swifties.
Yes.
That started watching the Kansas City Chiefs because Taylor was dating Travis Kelce. And by the end of the season on the Taylor Swift Reddit subreddit, they had Kansas City Chiefs game threads. And there was better discussion about the Chiefs game on the Taylor Swift subreddit than there was on the Chiefs subreddit. And like everybody learned how to watch football. And in soccer, especially in MLS, if you watch these games, the announcing and the way that the game is presented does not make you a smarter fan. Now, part of that is inherent in the game. There just isn't enough downtime to break down like that odd man rush that Nashville scores on. If that was the NFL, there would be 5 minutes afterwards, or at least a couple of minutes afterwards of, okay, let's go to the all 22. Here's this person right here. He does this run. He does this run. This defender gets lost right here. That's why this person is wide open. You can see this person coming late. There was nothing of that in this game. And even like afterwards today, you can't go online to any of the social media channels from anywhere and get somebody breaking down why that was a good play from Nashville and what FC Cincinnati did poorly to cause it. I mean, hell, they don't even have the camera angle out for like a content creator to do that for the league. The NFL puts the all 22 up. You can subscribe to a service with the NFL for like $100 or so, and you will get all of the coach film. And there's an entire industry of people on YouTube that break down game film, and you can watch game film analysis from, content creators.
Yeah.
So even like with that, soccer doesn't attempt to educate you as a fan, which is why I think it was so hard for the sport to catch on here in America.
Well, and also it's just easier to like pick clips for football because there's a discrete beginning and end to every play.
Right.
So much of like soccer analysis that people even like try to do like tactical clips and stuff it's just like, okay, well, somebody scored a goal. Fine. we're going to go like 10 seconds before the goal and like start the clip there.
Right.
It's like, well, like the action that led to that goal might have happened like 2 minutes earlier.
Right.
You know,
right.
like it's like so subjective to decide like, okay, this is where we're going to start. It's like I'm glad they do it, but those like tactic talk videos FC Cincinnati puts out.
Yeah.
It's like, it's just like, you know, oh yeah, then this guy like found space and another guy had a nice finish.
Right. He passed it to him. He was open
like,
and he scored.
There's nothing about like, oh yeah, we lined up the team in this particular way to like exploit these specific angles and these lanes, or you know, whatever. You know, it's tough. It's tough to soccer. I think is a tougher. It's a tougher game to do that with because there aren't like such well-defined roles, and the game is like a half is 45 minutes. Nobody snapped the ball, and this guy ran this route, and to exploit this, you know, gap in the coverage or whatever.
Right.
You know,
it's funny that the one part of soccer that is like that, which is corner kicks and to some extent free kicks, is the thing that we suck at.
Yep, I'm saying, get a
guy,
get a football guy,
get a football guy. Come on now.
Maybe that's why BJ Callahan is so good at it. He looks like a football guy.
He's just drawing up plays. I love it. Brock Bermel has a question that I feel like Grayson will have the best answer to, but obviously we can all chime in. What are the best rooftop locations around Cincinnati? This is a good question.
I mean, I'll take a stab at it. I know it's basic. I do love the Rheingeist rooftop.
Rheingeist rooftop is fun.
The one over by the ballpark too. The AC. The AC is a nice rooftop.
The AC. The Shire's.
Oh,
Garden,
the View at Shire Gardens.
The
Yeah,
View
that's
at
a good
Shire's
rooftop.
Gardens, good rooftop. The one at Lytle Park.
Oh, at the Residence Inn over there. That's a pretty good one.
Yeah, whatever that. Yeah, I was talking about the one
with the new Autograph Hotel that used to be the Anna Louise.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a good one too. I like that one as well.
Yeah.
Rooftop bar culture. Cincinnati was late to hop on that train.
I haven't been to. So I used to go to the Metropole rooftop a lot. I haven't been in a while, and my understanding is that they've redone it.
It wasn't very good the last time I went, but that was a long time ago. That was about 10 years ago, I think.
Yeah. So, TBD, I guess, on that one.
I don't know if it counts as a rooftop bar, but I really love City View Tavern over in Mount Adams. It's a good one.
Yeah. It's a very classic view.
Yeah. You get a good view of downtown. I think it's technically a patio, but it feels rooftopy.
Would Pavilion count as a rooftop bar back in the day? Speaking of Mount Adams.
Oh man.
A lot of nights wasted there.
I can say Chief and I got access to a very exclusive rooftop one time. One of the very few people that have been to the very top of Northern Row, which was fun. We got to look down on the Rheingeist rooftop bar. So that was fun.
Yeah, it was a really cool one, actually. That'd be a cool spot if the building wouldn't collapse if more than 5 people were on the roof.
Also, apparently, I saw some Reddit speculation about this. Carew Tower is being converted into residential units, which is good, positive thing for the city. But they said that there's no intentions to reopening the observation deck. I think that has been privatized. I think the city will have lost its observation deck, and that will belong to the residents of Carew Tower.
Until Sundance comes to Cincinnati, and then it's like we open that back up for some events that circle around the film festival. Hashtag Cincy Sundance.
I love it. Let me see. I think we got one more in here before. Oh, actually, this is very good follow up to the last one. Porter Henson asks us, and this could be an actual cry for advice. So we gotta make sure we got a good answer here. In the format of a generic 70s dating show, please quote describe your perfect FC centric date. This is a good question. So an FC centric date could be fun because you could like make it an FC centric one where it doesn't involve a game day, but I think it would require you starting at some point or ending at some point at Sammy's Burgers in Blue Ash.
I mean, you could construct this coming weekend right here. Prior to the game on Saturday, it's Street Side's 8th, I believe, anniversary celebration.
It is.
And playing between 3 and 6 o'clock, Jim Trace and the Makers.
Oh.
So you can start off in the morning, probably want to get breakfast somewhere, something that's serving Geta. My prior go-to to this used to be U.S. Chili over in Camp Washington. But I'm going to say go to Pleasant Ridge Chili.
Okay.
Start off at Pea Ridge Chili, get some breakfast. Then head on over to Street Side. Hit up the 8th anniversary celebration, see a little Jim Trace and the Makers, then come downtown, maybe at like halfway through the Jim Trace set, like at 4 or 5 o'clock, get down to Northern Row, have a drink there, go to the game, and then after the game, stay in the First Financial Club for the extra half-price drinks right there, and then top it all off with like a late night snack. You don't need to get dinner. You'll get dinner at the stadium, I would want to say. A late night snack, like, like maybe a burger from Gold Star or something like that.
I like a burger from Gold Star a lot. What about if you were, for some unknown reason, not going to Gold Star? I like finishing that date off at Schwartz's Point, assuming that they are open and doing jazz. There you go. It's a nice classy end to the evening. Get a cocktail.
So here's, I'm going to say, I'm going to also construct around a game day.
Okay.
I'm going to say 4 locations.
All right.
Okay. There's a drinks before dinner.
Yep.
Dinner, the game, and then post game.
All right.
Okay. So drinks before dinner, I would say go to either Longfellow or Homemaker on 13th, around 13th and Walnut.
Yeah. Longfellow would be my vote there, but
Longfellow would be my vote, but sometimes it gets busier, and Homemaker, if you're on a date, you want to have a place to sit and like chat, right?
Right.
So like I think Homemaker is a nice backup in case you need to get a table and chat. And then go to, for dinner, I would say either Pep or Sacred Beast.
Yeah.
Good choices.
Because they're right next to each other and they're both kind of on the way to the stadium.
Yeah, you're sort of migrating your way over. Yeah.
Yep. And then you can go over to the stadium, enjoy the game, and then after the game, go to Safi.
Ooh.
On the old where Salazar used to be.
Okay.
It's across from Low Spark, which is a cocktail bar as well.
Yeah.
So, but the nice thing about Safi is you can go in and you can get like wine or cocktails too, but you also get like small bites, and you can also they do like this really nice like tea service. So you can like sober up, get some tea, and sit on some comfortable pillows and kind of chill at the end of the evening.
Damn.
Don't hate that.
There you go. Well,
one of those 2 dates will work out for you, I'm sure.
Yeah, I'm just gonna hope Dayton or Grayson takes me out for a date. Is what I was trying to say. That sounds nice.
That sounds lovely. You can tell which of the 2 of us dragged his wife to go watch a game last night.
If you want to go around the march,
yeah.
but don't want to be in the march,
Holiday spirit.
I would say you can go to Holiday Spirit, or you can go to Oakley. You can go to the Rind, have some wine and cheese, and then like watch the march go by.
Or it's not nearly as cool, but you could get a drink at Washington Park at the bar there and watch the march happen in front of you.
Yeah. Also, Findlay Market has, a bar there, and you can enjoy the market
and live music usually. Yep. Well, there you go. I mean,
do the classy thing. Buy a 6-pack and just walk with beers on the march.
I've done that most marches. I would
many
say.
Times.
If you're not. Also, 12:15 is a nice spot because you can get coffee, tea, or drinks.
Do they have the best espresso martini? And if not, I ask why not, given their specialties.
I don't drink espresso martinis.
Okay.
So I can't tell you.
That's not you, espresso. Oh, well, there's some advice for you right there. I like that.
There you go. Porter, hopefully that helps you out. Maybe you were genuinely asking for advice on an FC centric date, or maybe just curious what the answers would be, but hopefully that helps you out. There are plenty more questions to get to, but I'm going to say that's all we have time for today. Chief, unless you have something burning deep down inside of you that you need to get off your chest, I think that's an episode. I think it's a good drawing Nashville episode. We'll have one more out, and in that one later this week, previewing the LAFC match. But until then,
go fuck yourself, San Diego.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Cincy Postcast. It is a production of The Post Cincy. You can check us out at thepostcincy.com or just click a link in the description to check out some of our written work. It also has links to our social media accounts across all sorts of different platforms, including YouTube, where we are trying to do more and more video content. Please, dare I say it, like and subscribe and leave a comment. But no, that would be really, really helpful. Also want to give a thank you to Jim Trace and the Makers. They're a local Cincinnati band who provided all of the music for this episode. We love having them on board. You can check them out. Again, link in the description of this episode to find out where they might be playing shows next, or where you can listen to more of their music. Also want to give a massive, massive thank you to the awesome and very attractive patrons over on Patreon. It is a voluntary subscription that people take out with no real promise of anything extra that keep this show afloat. And we are so, so thankful to those of you that have decided to take that commitment. If you do like the show, or at least just want to engage with other people who have listened to the show and want to talk about FC Cincinnati, MLS, soccer, or really anything else, you can go on over to Discord. Again, link in the description. Lots of links in the description where you can find a link to the Discord. That's where we are keeping the conversation going 24/7. It feels like it's a really fun group of people in there just talking about FC Cincinnati. And like I said, just about everything else. And finally, I'll say it. If you liked this episode, and given the fact that you've made it all the way to the end, I have to assume you either like it or for some reason cannot reach the stop button. Please share this episode with a friend or family member or someone who likes FC Cincinnati. The best way for us to grow is from a personal recommendation from somebody who likes it. And if that's you, please tell other people. And if you don't have any friends, feel free to give us a review on whatever your podcast platform of choice is. We'll take anything we can get. But again, a huge, huge thank you to everybody for listening to this show. I am blown away that anybody listens to this. So again, I well and truly mean this. Thank you so much for listening.